Most people are not good people. That's what I'm going to be talking about in this video. And I'm sure many of you have your own experiences. You've come across so many people in your lives, whether it's friends, family, co-workers, relationship partners, whoever it may be. And you found that it always plays out the same way. It always gets you the same result in the end. And it's like you wonder why. Because you try to be a good person. You try to do everything right. And if anything, you try to do things right more than anyone else. But just look at where it gets you. Because the reality is that most people are not good. And of course, most people are not good. Just look at everything you've had to deal with in your life. And on top of that, pretty much wherever you live in this world, just go and take a walk down the street and tell me, what do you see? It's likely that you will see homeless people just laying on the floor, without money, without food, without family. You might also see children fighting. They're out late at night, they get up to mischief. No one seems to care about them. And you may see young women, girls at bars and clubs getting drunk, getting shit-faced. And same thing with young men as well. They haven't got a purpose, they're not focused on their work. They're too caught up with women than to focus on what they need to be focused on. And it's just wherever you go, you see the exact same thing. Because the reality is that most people are not good. And yet we make it out like what you need to worry about are narcissists. Of course, not everyone in the world is a narcissist. Or at least, when I say narcissist, I mean someone with full-blown NPD. Not everyone in the world is a psychopath. These personalities are, at least a psychopath is rare. As for someone with NPD, that could be up to 15% of the population. So what is going on? And I've touched on this lightly in past videos. What's going on is that most people are toxic and dysfunctional. They may have narcissistic traits. They may have traits from certain personality disorders. Although, of course, not everyone you encounter is going to be a full-blown narcissist or a psychopath. Because that's just not reality. But that doesn't mean that everyone else is normal, everyone else is good, and everyone else is not going to do bad things to you. And you may wonder why at this point in your life, why you are alone, why you have very little friends or very few friends or no friends, why you don't get along with anyone, why there's no one you can talk to, no one who understands you. And the reason why is because most people are not thinking about what you're thinking about. Because what you're thinking about is much deeper. You're thinking about more meaningful things. And most people just aren't on that level. They don't even care. They're not thinking as deep as you are. They're looking at things more on the surface. They're looking at, how can I maneuver this person? How can I lure them into a certain situation so that I can get them to do what I want, or so that I can get something out of them? They're not looking at things deeper like you are. And this is why when we look around the world today, just look at how many people have these fake friends, how many people are in these fake relationships, and they just get used, manipulated, exploited. It doesn't last for long, or they're in this relationship and they're not happy. Or just look at the divorce rates in practically every country in the world. I mean, of course, yes, there's always exceptions. There's maybe a few countries where the divorce rate isn't that high. I can probably count them on one hand. But other than that, it's pretty much the same thing everywhere in the entire world. And even in those countries where everything seems to be fine, where they report it as being the happiest place in the world, or where you can have the best quality of life, even then, many of these places, it's narcissistic. They're portraying a false image. It's like this picture perfect fake family where they look so happy and they're all smiling, but you don't know what goes on behind closed doors, because no one ever talks about it. They don't talk about their problems. And this is it. I mean, when something is real, when something's real, it doesn't mean that you're always happy and nothing's wrong and you're just living your best life every minute of every day. That is a perfect description of something fake, because real life is never going to be like that. Real life has ups and downs. Real life has problems. You have negative emotions. You feel bad sometimes. You feel guilty. You feel angry. This is normal. But just go on social media today and what do you see? It looks like everyone's living this perfect life. They're always happy. They've always got something going on. Everything's good. And great, you know, if that was true, if that was real, if they actually went through the process and they did the work so that they could be happy most of the time, but they make it out like everything's always good and there's no problems. And that's not reality. They're just suppressing their emotions. They're denying how they really feel. And that's why when you get too close to them, you get involved with them, then you start to see things aren't so perfect after all. They're not as happy as they led you to believe, and the reason why is they can't be real. They can't be truthful to themselves. They can't open up. They deny themselves. They suppress themselves, their own emotions. They're quite literally in denial. And this is the case with most people in the world today. They're all in denial. And who else is in denial? Narcissists, borderlines, sociopaths, psychopaths, all of them. In fact, a lot of the personality disorders and mental illnesses are characterized by denial. Without the denial, there would be no narcissist. There would be no sociopath. There would be no psychopath. And this is why, although of course not everyone is a full-blown NPD or a full-blown psychopath who could just kill anyone at any moment, of course not everyone in this world is like that. If that was the case, then we probably wouldn't be alive and being able to talk about this right now. But people share those traits, especially that one trait which without it, narcissists and psychopaths wouldn't even exist. Yes, they have that denial. They deny things, they suppress them, they find some way to justify it. Every abuser has an excuse. And it may seem like, oh, they just don't want to deal with you. They don't want to listen to what you have to say, to what you've got to complain about what they did to you. They just don't want to listen to that. No. They don't want to listen to themselves. They don't want to get to know themselves. Because the reality is that when you say or do something wrong, that's you. That's a true, authentic part of you. When you make a fault or mistake, when you do something bad, something you're not proud of, something you're ashamed of, it's you. That's you. So you should not be running away from that, because that's a part of who you are. And yet this is exactly what they do. They do things wrong to us, and then they want nothing to do with us. They don't want to see us. They don't want to get involved with us again, because we're holding a part of themselves that they do not want to see, that they do not want to reflect on. And that's what this is about. And this is why most people are not good people, for that reason. Because to be a good person, you've got to take accountability. You've got to accept who you are. You've got to accept your faults and mistakes. And then incorporate that as part of an authentic whole of who you are. And then that's how you grow. That's how you become better. But they don't want to do that because it's too painful for them. They don't want to go within. They'd rather just project it all onto you. Blame you for everything, scapegoat you, make you feel bad about yourself. But it gets to a point where they can blame you so many times, and it's like, what else are you supposed to do? It gets to a point where it's like, there's nothing that you can do to correct the situation. Because you're not God, you're not Jesus. You can't just go and sacrifice yourself for everyone's sins. It's not going to work that way. At some point, they're meant to stand up and take accountability and just accept who they are. But as you may have experienced already, most people are not going to do that. They run from themselves. And as soon as you stand up and you confront them, you start talking about it, they want to shut you down. They want to silence you. And then you look at yourself, you think, oh, I'm so bad, I shouldn't be talking about it. No. It's actually got very little to do with you. It's not that they don't like you or what you're talking about, what you're confronting them about. They feel threatened that you are exposing them. And yeah, most people have a false image, and it looks like they care so much about what other people think. They want to be seen a certain way, powerful, attractive, beautiful, wealthy, whatever it is. But actually, many of these people, they are antisocial. That doesn't mean that they're a full-blown sociopath or psychopath. but just the behavior is antisocial, and everyone is just a means to an end. They're just pawns on a chessboard that they maneuver around to produce the desired effect, to reflect back to them how they want to see and feel about themselves. So it actually has practically nothing to do with other people at all. It's all about them. It's all about how they see and feel about themselves. And that's why they're so miserable, because there's no connection, there's no intimacy, there's no empathy, no compassion. That's why people say they've sold their souls. And at this point, it seems that most people in this world have done just that. They've sold their souls. They've chosen their image, how they want to see themselves in a certain way so that they can feel powerful, they can feel better. They've chosen that of a real connection. It's very sad, because it's pretty much like we're transgressing or regressing. I mean, it's like we're going back to an earlier time in history, before we evolved, before we became humans. Because there was a time when it wasn't so much about connection, when we weren't social creatures. So it's like we're going back, we're becoming more, what's the word? I can't even remember the word right now. More primal, that's it. We're becoming more primal. It's more just about our primal needs. So it's like just money, although money isn't really a primal need. I mean, it is a need now, but it wasn't before. But food, water, shelter, those are the three needs. And then it's not so much about social connection, which now in this day and age, that should be one of our primal needs. And in fact, you should be dying without that. You should be struggling, you should be experiencing depression. You should feel like something is wrong. But most people in the world today, they will happily throw you under the bus. They will betray you and just treat you like a stepping stone, a step on the ladder, a means for them to get what they want, and that's all. And it's really sad, but this is what a lot of people are like. They're very primal. They're not concerned about connection. There's no empathy, no compassion. They can't connect to you, they can't feel what you feel, because it's just all about them. They're egotistical, they're ego-driven. It's all just about what's going to make me feel more special, more important, more powerful right now. But that's all that they're thinking. It's all just the image. But don't be fooled by that as well. It's not like this image where they want to be admired and they want to admire you, and then together you just connect and you have this intimate moment together, you get to know each other, and then you want to build a family based on shared values, based on a shared purpose in life. There's nothing like that. It's all just about someone with an image that they construct. They take bits and pieces from other people, and they'll do anything they can to get ahead. They will lie, they will cheat, they will steal, whatever it takes, just so they can be adored, so they can be worshipped, put on a pedestal. You think they care about that person who's putting them on that pedestal? That person who is worshipping them, adoring them. Like I've said before, if you treat someone like a celebrity, they will treat you like a fan. If you treat someone like a king or a queen, they will treat you like a peasant. They don't care about you. It's pretty much like these, what do we call them these days? These simps, these incels. They're constantly going on Instagram, liking these pictures of these Instagram models, like obsessed with them, commenting on their pictures every day. You think those women care about them? Of course not. They're not connecting to anyone. What they care about is the numbers of likes, the numbers of comments. They're not even looking at the quality of men who are liking those posts and commenting on them. It could just be a bunch of fat 50-year-old men who don't even have a job and live in their mother's basement, and they won't even know, because it's also a delusion, it's a fantasy, and it's all in their heads, where they just like Narcissus. I don't know if you know that story, how he fell in love with his reflection in the lake. It's pretty much like that. And other people are just pawns on a chessboard to produce this desired effect. It's an orchestration. It's kind of like Snow White with the Wicked Witch, and she looks in the mirror and she says, "Magic mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?" Because back in the West, back then, centuries ago, if you had fair skin, that was seen as a symbol of high status, because the kings and the queens back then, they all had white skin because they stayed indoors, so they didn't catch a tan. But now, of course, it's the opposite in the Western world, because if you have tan skin now, that's a symbol of high status, because it means you can afford to go on vacation to tropical countries where you're then able to get a tan. Oh, this is all just narcissistic when you think about it. It really is. It's just adoring and loving this false image of yourself, because they're not really loving themselves. If you really love yourself, that means your cup is already full, so you don't have to keep filling it up. You don't have to tell yourself all of this stuff. You don't need all of these likes and comments, all of these admirers, all of these worshippers, because your cup's already full. You already love yourself. You don't need all of those compliments. When a person really loves themselves, and it's real, their cup is full, so now they can pour into someone else's cup. And we don't see that with most people in the world today. They are deficient. And this is why most people are not good, because their cup isn't full. But not only that, no matter how much people pour into that cup, it's never enough. It's never going to make them feel fulfilled. It's never going to make them happy. And it's just because of this mentality that they have. It's like social media, as an example. No matter how many followers, how many likes, how many views they get, it's never going to be enough. They're never going to reach a point where they're like, all right, I feel whole and complete now. That did it for me. Now I can pour into someone else's cup. It's never going to be like that. And as someone who, as I've said before, pretty much throughout my life, I've always felt like I have high self-esteem. I do love myself, who I actually am, and not just this avatar. And for me, when I had just 100 subscribers on YouTube, I was very happy with that. I was amazed that I had 100 subscribers. And if you look back on my community page, you will see throughout my journey how happy I was, how appreciative I was when I achieved 1,000 subscribers, 50,000, 100,000. And as you know, I'm a truth teller, I'm honest. I will say there really wasn't much difference, if anything, between when I achieved 1,000 subscribers and when I achieved 100,000 subscribers. Even though at that point I then received the YouTube silver plaque. It wasn't really that great of a shift in emotion. And even then, it didn't last for long, until it just went back to me thinking it's just normal. It's nothing out of the ordinary. And that's really what it's like. But that doesn't mean that I'm not happy. But now I need more. It's not like that at all, because for me, I've always felt like I have healthy self-love, high self-esteem, which I know is very rare in the world today. But for that reason, my value isn't determined by what I achieve on social media, how many friends or fans I have, or material things. It's not determined by any of that. It comes from within. Because for me, it is real. Because it's not like a spike. It's not about how wonderful, how great I am. It's nothing like that. It's more determined by the work that I put in and the positive effect that I have on other people, the difference that I make in this world. That's what gets me high. That's what makes me feel good about myself. Knowing that I have made a positive impact in someone's life. And that's not something that ever runs out. It's not something that I ever feel like I'm missing something. But of course, for a lot of people today, it's not that way. For them, it is just more about just more and more. They're never satisfied, and it's never enough. They have these insatiable desires that can never be fulfilled. And this is why they become so dark. This is why it's like you get involved with certain people, and it may start off good in the beginning. They're nice, they're friendly, you get on well, and it's like you don't even know what you've done wrong, and then all of a sudden they turn against you. They don't treat you right, and in some situations they may even abuse you. They may be horrible to you. And it's almost like they're enjoying it, like they're quite comfortable with it being that way. And it's because it's never enough. That's why they get so extreme. As I've spoken about before, it's kind of like, and I haven't done too much research or exploration on this myself, but from what I know, it's kind of like BDSM, 50 Shades of Grey. It's these insatiable desires. It's like this itch that they can't scratch. Where it's like first they may be seeking this ideal love, this nice, kind person, this connection, but then they can't connect, they can't be satisfied with that. And then it gets very dark. Then it becomes abusive, it becomes pain, destruction. Then they just want to destroy it, eliminate it, because they can't get the same fulfillment as how a normal person should. And that's why it then goes to extremes. That's why it becomes so extreme. And then it can turn into BDSM, it's pain, it's violence, destruction. And in some cases, they want to go all out and just completely destroy you and ruin your life because they just can't get normal fulfillment from you. And it's really sad, but that's just the way it is. Although a lot of people these days, they will also maintain this image of love, a connection, simplicity, the white picket fence. But again, that's just this picture perfect image, and beneath the veil, beneath the facade, things are very different. And that's how, when you look at the world today, things are so messed up. There's a lot of problems with the world today. And in fact, statistics show that 96% of families in the world are dysfunctional. Maybe 4% of the recovering ones. Statistics also show that 1 to 2% of the world's population are empaths. We are a dying breed. I did some deeper research on it, and I found that prehistoric humans were very compassionate. Empathy, compassion has been decreasing since 1979. I'm not sure why it's that specific year or what changed since then, although I would assume that feminism played a big part in that. And I don't think that's any coincidence at all. I just look around at the world today, these feminists are everywhere, they're promoting their agenda. And everyone's just going along with it. They're quite happy with that. But things are getting out of control, and what we really need is some order. And that's how I knew that this is my mission. Because back in 2018, I started to look around. And before that point, I was kind of, I had friends, I had relationships, but I was more of a loner. I enjoyed just my own company and being by myself. I was always that way my entire life. But then I started to see so many problems, and these things were coming into my life. And then I thought, maybe this is something that I can do, that I can attend to. Maybe I can try to make things better. I can try to make things right. And it just felt right to me. It felt like I should give these messages. Although at the time I didn't really know If anyone would really want to hear my voice, if anyone really cared about what I have to say, I mean, that's how it is when we have relatively healthy self-esteem and self-love, we can love ourselves, but we don't expect everyone to see everything the same way as we do, or for everyone to like us. Of course, that's not necessary. That's not important then. That's for people who are more insecure. But yeah, I soon discovered, as many of you can see, it seems that a lot of people around the world are going through this. A lot of people are dealing with the exact same things that I was going through. A lot of people are being mistreated, abused, manipulated, exploited, gaslighted. A lot of people are going through this. And at the same time, these people that you're dealing with, they want to maintain this perfect image. And it may seem like they care so much about what other people think, as though they have this bond, this connection, when in fact, no, it's just all about them. It's all about how they see themselves, how they want to feel about themselves. As I've said before, they live in a world inside their heads with a population of 1. Believe it or not, but the people who do tend to spend the most time alone, the people who are loners, they don't have too many friends, those people, they're not the ones who are separated and disconnected from everyone else. Those are the ones who tend to be the most empathic, the chosen ones. The chosen ones are not the ones who are getting around everyone else. Those are not the empaths, the highly sensitive people. Those are the ones who are desensitized, or they just have no sensitivity at all. Including the narcissists, they're getting around a lot of people to maintain their false image. So that's what that is really about. Well, as for you or I, it's just too overwhelming to be around people all of the time. So yes, we do enjoy our own company. We do enjoy being by ourselves. That doesn't mean we just want to sit in a room 24 hours a day. Of course not. We want to go out. We want to go into nature. We like to go for walks. We like to be around animals. We don't just want to be cooped up in a room all day. But then again, just because we're going out somewhere, it doesn't mean we want to be around everyone else. And of course, yeah, we do recognize at some level there is some danger, there is some risk getting involved with certain people. They could get you in a lot of trouble. They could cause problems for you. They could turn the tables on you and blame you for everything, make you look like the bad guy, as they always do. And that's another reason why we do like to keep to ourselves. And maybe that's why the world just keeps getting more dark, less empathic, less compassionate. Because people like us, we want to stay out of the mix. We want to stay alone. We don't want to get involved in all of that. Because at some level, we already know what it's like. Sorry if my voice is changing slightly. My throat is getting a bit tight here, as you can probably see. I'm a bit anxious. But yeah, this is how it is. Most people in this world are not good. Of course, they don't talk about this. They tend to just label a minority of people and make them look bad. They do that because otherwise it would cause mass hysteria. a lot of people would be confronted with themselves, with their own shame, and with the fact that they may be a part of it, they may be bad themselves. And most people do not have the tools, they do not have the ability to deal with that. So, and a lot of people, they won't even know how. They lack the depth, the substance. It's all just superficial. It's all just on the surface. It's all just revolving around the avatar, the false image, the illusions, because that's all they've ever known. It's all they've ever learned as a child, which is just narcissism. That which we have, that isn't there in most people. It doesn't exist. They can manipulate you and make you think that they're having the same experience as you are. They're not. They don't experience intimacy. They don't experience connection. What they're experiencing is different. It's more of an ego trip, a power trip, of gaining a sense of control over you as this object. They're not sharing the same feelings as you do. They're not getting that excitement, butterflies in the stomach, a feeling of just being whisked away, swept off your feet. They're not experiencing that. Most people are not experiencing that. Because to be able to experience that, they would have to have empathy. The ability to share the feelings of another person. Which means that things would not suddenly go bad all of a sudden, to where they're turning against you, they're devaluing you, they're hating on you, because they would have compassion and they would be able to understand you. So that would never occur, that would never happen, because they would be able to see where you're coming from. And that's not to say that we have to identify with and be compassionate with abusers, people who have a pattern of behavior of harming people. That's bad. Harming people, especially regularly and consistently, this is not good at all. You should not have to identify with that. You can try to understand it by recognizing that something's not right with them. They're traumatized, they're hurt. Yet at the same time, they don't want to take accountability, they don't want to self-reflect. So that's what you've got to understand with people like that. My throat is getting quite tight now, so I'm going to take a sip of water. But yeah, most people are not good people. It can look that way sometimes. You can get tricked and it's like they look good, they look nice, they look innocent, they look pure, they look clean, they look intelligent, they look like they know what they're talking about. Get this. It's just what they've seen on TV or in movies. It's what they've seen other people do. And they're just mimicking that, they're copying it. That's why if you pay close attention when you're around them, something won't feel right. It will feel off. But you may feel like maybe you're just nervous, social anxiety. You need to know the difference. Because often that's not what it is. It's something else. It's something telling you that something is wrong. And you need to trust your intuition. You need to pay attention to your gut instinct. But yes, something is off. And they are not about what you're about. A lot of people in the world today, they are predators. They're looking to feed off you, to leech off you, because they can't sustain themselves. So there's not going to be any reciprocation. You're going to fill their cup up until yours is empty, until you've got nothing in yours, and then you're going to end up just like them. It's going to reverse the roles around on you. It's going to switch your personalities, at least for a moment. Because at some point you should be able to replenish yourself. And of course, they have a void. It's going to leak out. It's not going to last for long for them as well. But that's how it is with most people. They act like they're good, but they're empty, they're lifeless. They're empty meat suits. They have a void. And they're really just looking for prey. Something to leech off, to feed from. To make them feel good, to make them feel alive. And it's not about intimacy, it's not about connection. It's an ego trip, a power trip. From gaining a sense of control or one-upmanship over you. From feeling like they're superior, they're above you. And that's all that really is. So identify that, recognize it. I'd also do the research, check the statistics to see that what I'm saying is true. Most people are not good people. Just look at the crime rates. Look at the divorce rates. Look at the rates of how many people in this world are dysfunctional. And that will tell you everything that you need to know. I am feeling a bit lightheaded now. So I'll try to make this message as clear as I can, just to summarize, just to finish off. But yeah, do the research, look at the statistics, the reports that have been made by doctors, clinics. They've done the work, and it has shown most people are not good. Most people are effed up. Most people are damaged. And yet so many people, they continue to get involved in so many different friend groups. They have one relationship after the next. And it's like the same thing keeps happening again and again. Because a lot of people are in denial. And I was like that myself. I used to be in the Matrix. I used to think that way as well. Maybe I just used to wish that things could be different. But it's not, and it's not going to be that way anytime soon. So definitely check out the studies that really support what I'm saying here today. And it's not all doom and gloom. It's not to say that you should just give up, not have any friends, no more relationships, don't even try to get married. Some people are saying that, and yeah, there is a big movement with there's MGTOW men going their own way. There's other things as well. I would say that feminism was one of the earliest movements of recent times, at least, to do with that. But that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying to just give up on everything. I just think it's important to have that awareness to avoid putting ourselves in these dangerous situations where we get exploited, used, we're not cared about, there's no love, no compassion. So it's good to have that awareness. And with that awareness should also come the fact that not everyone is going to be like that. I mean, yeah, you know, the title says most people are not good people. But that doesn't mean all. Just like our statistics show, 96% of families are dysfunctional. Maybe the other 4% aren't entirely functional. But there could be a small percentage of people who aren't that bad. People who are more like yourself or like me. People who are more patient, open-minded, loving, respectful, compassionate, or able to connect and to understand another person, who desire more substance, emotional depth. So yeah, I would believe that there could be a very small percentage of people in this world, and it's not just black and white, like some people are all bad, others are all good. Of course, there's always going to be grey areas as well. It's not just everyone's all bad or all good, of course. Even with personality disorders, it's on a spectrum. There's different levels to it. And there could be people out there who are more on your level. People who are more like you, but then also be aware, because this is what narcissists like to do. They mirror you, they reflect your own qualities and virtues back to you, because they're on an ego trip, a power trip, and they want to gain that sense of power and control over you. And they want to get what they want from you as well. So be aware of that too. But yeah, just keep in mind that, I mean, just look at yourself and feel the sincerity, how genuine you are. You're serious about life, about people, about things. You're not like these narcissistic people, these psychopaths. You're not just looking at people like objects and everything's a joke. Like, you know, for them, just literally everything is just a joke. Like, people's lives are just something to laugh about. It's not like that with you. You do take people, things, and situations very seriously. If anything, almost to a fault sometimes. And I know too, I do that myself, because we're on the other side of the spectrum, to the point where at some point we should let our hair down and just, you know, let things go if it's safe for us to do so. And it's because we're on that other end of the spectrum where we're so used to being preyed on and holding on to everything that's valuable to us, because we're so afraid that we're going to lose it again. We're going to be cheated, lied to, stolen from. And that's why we're that way. It's not like with them where everything's a joke. They don't take anything seriously. We've never been that way. We've always been the opposite. And there could be other, well, I believe that there are other people out there like that. I mean, of course there are. We've got this community here. People who care enough to get on here and watch these videos and learn more about this. So there are other people out there who care as much as you do. And you know that you care a lot because you've been targeted by bad people, narcissists, psychopaths, people who don't give a shit. They're coming around you because that's a really good source of supply. Someone who cares, someone who takes things seriously, someone who takes life seriously. That's what they want, because they don't care. I think there are going to be people like yourself out there, people who are more like us. So what I'm saying as well is to not give up hope. It can be difficult to find these types of people because they're not going to be around most people. They'll likely be isolated, alone. They're not going to be too trusting of anyone. And it could be quite difficult to get them to open up. But these types of people do exist. And it's actually the opposite of what you might think, because although you see these false images and everything's about innocence and purity and being so kind and like communal, even though that's really just a narcissistic false image that we often see on social media or even in our communities, the reality is that most people shun those types of people. They're ostracized. They're kicked out of communities. People don't want anything to do with them because they shine a light on everything that is fake, on everything that is dysfunctional. So now you know how to find them. Now you know how to find someone more like us, a chosen one, an empath. I mean, just look at my community on Q. The kindest, most loving, empathic people. The targets of smear campaigns, gang stalking. Or they've got no friends, they're always alone, they don't vibe with anyone. This is how we're so rare. And this is how we're a dying breed. This is how, as studies show, since 1979, empathy has been decreasing at quite an alarming rate. So although they may be in low supply, they are also in low demand. People aren't typically looking to get into friendships or relationships with chosen ones or empaths, which is great for us, because yes, while we may have been tricked by narcissistic people who posed as empaths or chosen ones, now we've got a chance to go and find the real thing. And like attracts like. So it's not going to be like how it was with narcissists, where maybe you got tricked, you got duped, you got messed around, used, exploited. It's not going to be like that. You're going to be treated more how you treated other people before. It's going to be reciprocation. And just close your eyes for a moment and just really think about that. Imagine being loved the way that you love. Imagine being cared for the way that you cared, that so many people in your life. Imagine someone who's going to be that loyal to you, someone who's going to be by your side. But also, I do believe that when we do encounter a person like that, yes, they may have been taught to be selfless, to abandon themselves by their family or whoever it may have been. I do believe that it is our job to help them to find themselves. If they're selfless, they don't have a strong identity, they may be highly codependent, too giving. I do believe that for us, that's what it should be when we come together and we're so giving and loving to each other. We're so selfless, where we just give up all of our time, all of our energy, everything we got. I believe that when we come together with that type of person, we should teach them that no, actually, it doesn't have to be that way for you anymore. It's okay for you to get to know yourself, to know who you are, to be the person that you want to be. Because this life is short, far too short for you to just be living your life for someone else. For you to just give up who you are, your identity, to satisfy someone who doesn't even care about you, someone who doesn't even see that you are there. I think that's our duty when we do find another chosen one, another empath. And to me, that's really the most beautiful thing in the world. Someone who thinks they have to do so much to please another person, so much to make them happy, to sacrifice all of their time, mold themselves into being whatever they think that person needs them to be. And then you get involved with them and you're like, you don't need to do so much. You can relax, you can just be yourself. And then together with that reciprocation, with that equal exchange, you could really build something meaningful together. But of course, most people in this world, they're not going to be that person for anyone. Because when they come across someone who's selfless, who's moldable, they're just going to turn them into whatever they need them to be in that moment. They're going to get them to sacrifice themselves. And really that's their loss, because they're never going to experience the beauty of who that person really could be. And I can tell you that that is the most beautiful thing in the world. That is the greatest thing that you will ever see. It's that transitioning process of someone not knowing who they are, and then going on that journey to discovering their true self within. So yeah, I hope that for all of you. I pray that you will find someone more on your wavelength, someone more like yourself, another chosen one, another empath, someone who feels the way you do, someone who's more deep, someone who has more substance, someone who has a greater purpose in life. I hope and I pray that you do find someone like that at some point in your life. And I believe that you will. And really, I think it all starts with that belief, because then you're going to be attuned to it. If you're thinking about it, you're imagining what it will be like, you're envisioning it, That's what I had to do before I traveled the world. Every day when I was walking around my city, I'd go to the beach, I'd walk down the beach, and I'd be like, all right, let's just imagine I'm walking down the beach somewhere in a different country. Before you know it, it happened. I went and traveled the world for many years, still traveling now. So again, just have that belief, have that vision in your mind, and then you can make it happen. And also, let me know when you do, when you find the man, the girl of your dreams. You can email me, send me your success story. I've heard from a few people so far already who did meet someone that they're very happy with. Some of them, they moved in together, they got married, and things are going well for them. Of course, they keep their circles small now after what happened. Yeah, it can happen for you, and I believe that it will. The sun is going down. It's quite weak today, it's not too strong, not too hot. So yeah, to finish up, most people in this world are not good. And when I say most people, I would say probably 99.9999%, somewhere around that. A very small percentage of people in this world are actually good. And I would say that a lot of people in this world, they are being groomed. They are being conditioned. They're being kept down at a certain vibration, a certain state of mind, to where, they actually maybe could have been good people. They could have lived righteous lives. They may have had the capabilities to do that. But because they're suppressed, they're being brainwashed by society. Because of that, we're never going to see that from them. We're never going to see that person that they could have been. Which is sad, but we can't do anything about that directly with them. Making these videos may help, it may awaken some people. But that's going to be the existence for most people in this world today. And that's just how it is. But yes, there may actually be a brighter side to them, somewhere in there. But because they're surrounded by bad people, and I know exactly what that's like, that used to be me. I was around the wrong people doing the wrong things. I had no purpose, no meaning in my life. Most people stay like that for the rest of their life. They don't wake up. So you got to let them go. You got to just let them do what they want to do, because that's the only way that they're ever going to change. They're not going to change while you're around them. Most people will not change, and they will remain the same. But anyway, by the time they change, you would have moved on, and it would probably be too late. Because of course you're not going to wait around forever. We've got our own things to do as well. Again, not everyone's bad. Most people are not good. Some people are good. And Just continue developing your relationship with yourself. Get to know yourself, who you are. When you get to know yourself and the goodness that is in you, you will then be better able to perceive of that in someone else. As you will know it when you encounter it. And when you find it, you won't let that go. Alright, so $187 live viewers. If you found this message helpful for you today, and you would like many of the viewers to see this so that they can benefit from this information as well, all you got to do is hit that thumbs up button down below, because it will help to get this message out there to other people who need it. And let me know your thoughts about what I've said to you in the comment section down below. I do read your comments every day, and I try to respond to as many as I can. Hit subscribe and click all notifications to be notified when I go live or when I upload a new video in the future. And if you would like to donate, you can leave a super chat in the live chat, a super thanks in the comment section, or you can go to my PayPal. It is paypal.me/Narc Survivor. And you can book a one-on-one coaching session with me by going to my website. It is narcsurvivor.co.uk. Also, I have new pictures and videos of my travels, which I upload to my stories every day on my Instagram. I've also got my trip from Sri Lanka last year on there as well. So follow me on Instagram if you would like to see all of that. It is Narc Survivor YouTube. Alright, that's it for this message today. But I appreciate all of you. And I've enjoyed talking with you, bringing you this information, giving you this message. I appreciate you all so much. You are my family. And I hope you appreciate my support for you as well. Thank you all. And I will talk to you in another live video very soon.